Hey, what's up guys, Totally Dubbed here, and today I'm finally producing a video on the Logitech G710 Plus, and this is the review of the keyboard. So for people which don't know, this is a mechanical keyboard, a fully mechanical keyboard using Cherry MX brown switches underneath the keys. I bought this keyboard under a few conditions. First of all, I wanted a UK keyboard layout, so therefore the price of this keyboard was £150, and that's the price that I'll be reviewing this keyboard at. In the US it can be bought for $150, which is about 90 quid, or $100 if you can find it on a deal, which is even cheaper, like 70 quid or something like that. So at that price it seems like almost a no-brainer, but £150, which is almost like 200 and something dollars, it's a completely different issue. So I would like to review this keyboard. So here are the things that I wanted in a keyboard. First and foremost, I wanted a UK layout, as I said. Secondly, I wanted an illuminated keyboard. It didn't have to be individually lit, but I wanted an illuminated keyboard. I wanted a big enter button, as you can see over here. I wanted media controls, which you can see up there. I wanted a programmable keys, which they didn't have to be gamer keys. It's just that on my old K350, Logitech K350, I've got keys over here which are useful because I enter like emails, my Skype and whatnot, so I had those programmable keys over here. By the way, I will make some comparisons to this keyboard. That's a £35 keyboard, and in my opinion the best media keyboard that money can buy. Another thing I wanted a palm rest over here, an integrated one, not an additional one to buy. I wanted a black look. The LEDs I wanted to be blue or white, preferably blue. And then what else did I want in the keyboard? Oh yeah, I wanted a brown switch underneath, simply because after reading quite a few places, black simply wasn't for me. Red was a bit too soft, blue was too noisy, and brown was basically the compromise. So brown was the one I wanted to go for. So those are the things that I wanted in a keyboard, and pretty much the only keyboard on the market right now is this Logitech keyboard. The other keyboards that I was looking at were the Corsair K90, which the Corsair K90 I rejected because it wasn't fully mechanical. There was the QPad MK85, which I quite liked, however it had red LEDs and wasn't available at the time when I wanted to buy it. There was a Rocat MK Pro, I think it's something like that, MK Lite Pro, something like that, but that hadn't been announced, the date hadn't been announced, and that wasn't out. By the way, today is the 8th of March 2013. So that wasn't out, but that seemed to have fit all my needs. So there were several keyboards out there, but none of them really fit the description except for this Logitech keyboard. So I went all out and paid £150 for this keyboard. Now in terms of reviewing it, first of all, I have to mention one thing that did quite annoy me is the length of this wire. Now, I know I haven't got like a huge desk, but I just wanted to show you. The wire goes from here, behind my speakers, and into the back of my computer just there. Now, I would have liked the keyboard wire length to be much longer than that, because the length was, I think, 1.5 to 2 meters. I think it's 1.5 meters if I'm not mistaken, but you can correct me if I'm wrong by looking at the specs. But I don't like the length of that wire. I would have liked it to go behind my monitor and underneath. Realistically, my desk isn't that big, as you can see that there's not that much space in between, and I would have liked a longer wire. The wire is also quite thick, and it's something you should bear in mind. It's not bad if it's thick, it doesn't matter because it's carrying 2 USBs. In terms of the USBs, the connections over here, you've got 2 USB connections in, 2.0 connections, and one of them is for the keyboard and another one is for a USB switch. The USB switch can be found over here. It's a USB 2.0 switch which can be found over here, and you can plug in, say, your USB stick or anything like that. I've plugged in my USB stick and things and it picks it up straight away. In fact, I'm going to demonstrate that now by getting my USB stick. Put this down. plug it in. If we go up to Windows, there you go, it pops up and I can access my USB stick. So it's quite good that it's got that. However, in comparison to other keyboards out there on the market, they offer two USB ports and an audio functions, as in audio in and out. The audio, not audio in and out, audio out with microphone. The audio bit doesn't really concern me because if I really wanted it, I've got the front ports on my PC, and secondly, sound quality, I wouldn't really want to go via that, although I could plug it into my sound card, but then it's a whole different issue of setting up the sound card to do that and whatever. So the USB, it would have been nice to have two, but there's only one, not a big deal. So in terms of the actual, shall I say, peripherals, that's the main thing. Secondly would be the actual accessories you get with this keyboard. Well, you get none. There's no accessories. I would have liked to get one of those you know, the things that you get the keys out to check them. I would have liked to get one of those with my mechanical keyboard, simply because, you know, if you want to clean it or anything like that, it's sometimes a pain. Now onto the design and form factor. Now the design is perfect, it's quite nice layout, it looks quite nice. However, I've got just a few complaints about the design. First and foremost is this orange look. Now the orange look has nothing too special to it, but as you can see, it's quite significantly different from the rest of the keyboard. To me, this orange just stands out a bit too much. It's not that I mind it. In fact, orange is a color I quite like, as you can probably see from my mouse, which is like pulsating in orange. So orange doesn't concern me. Some people have painted it, which voids warranty, but for me, I don't know why they've done this. I guess it's just stand out because it's a gaming keyboard, so therefore they want it to make it like, oh yeah, there's the gaming switches, press these. That's cool, Logitech, but it would have been better if you didn't actually include this in orange, or in fact, if you could have replaced this thing with a different slot on top, like a different color or something like that. So the orange look over here, I can see it as being a plus for some gamers, but for me, that's a negative point in terms of the design and look. Furthermore, on the design and look, I appreciate this is again a gaming keyboard. However, WASD and the keys over here are grey color. Now, if I turn this off, you'll be able to see. You can see that. Now, it's not too special. It's not too bothering. It's just that if you're not, I mean, I bought this not as much of a big gamer. I do game on Battlefield 3 and whatnot, but it's not like it's something that I really need. Say for example in the keypad, what they do is include your normal keyboard, but then you have switches, so you can switch your keyboard keys for colored ones, which were orange ones in the case of the keypad. And in fact, talking about orange, I know it probably wouldn't have appealed to most, but with this orange theme, it would have been cool if these were orange as well. They kind of suited it, the same color. So I don't think this greyish look is cool. I would have preferred just all black, but I can see the appeal of it as why they did that, because it's made for a gaming keyboard. However, pointing out on these, the writing on them is pretty terrible on the on the grey keys. As you can see on the black ones, it's quite significant. You quite easy to see. You can say you got Z over here, but on the A, I mean, the camera's not picking it up because I'm going at an angle. But if I go up, you'll be able to see that one is significantly easy to see and the other one isn't. Now, it's not a big problem because if you're buying a mechanical keyboard, you probably know how to type without even looking at the keyboard. But that said, again, I have to take a point away for that, for the design and look of that, because it just, not lack of detail, but it would have been nice again if Logitech included these 3 normal keys. And I'm pretty sure I could probably buy these keys from somewhere, from another company, but that's not the point. I bought the product as a standalone, so I'm not going to include any accessories I could buy. So that's another thing on the design. The wrist pad over here is perfect. It's very nice, very cool. It's not very much finger prone. It's very cool in the finish. The actual look of the keyboard itself is very, very cool. Kind of like aerodynamic in some ways. Reminds me of like a Lamborghini Aventador, I think it's called. And it looks pretty nice. The weight of it is kind of heavy. Obviously, because it's a mechanical keyboard, it's going to be heavy. However, the grip underneath it is really good, so it doesn't move about and everything. So I'm sure with over time that'll wear and tear. In terms of design, I've got one more other point to make. I had to RMA this board when I first bought it because, as you can see, I just turned on the light. Can you see these keys over here? They all look perfect, right? Well, with the board I bought, I had a little niggle on the T, like a little, almost like someone had scratched it, but not with like a nail or something, but like it was manufactured like that. It's like a missed key. And even the U letter was a little slanted, really slightly slanted, but I noticed these things really quickly, and it was just pissing me off, so I sent it back to a place I bought it, which is Overclockers UK. So this is the replacement board. I mean, it's no real problem, but I should mention that, especially because it's a £150 premium keyboard. Other people have noted that there's LED problems over time that occur. I mean, I can't really comment on that, and I can't incorporate that into my review, but I thought I should point that out because some people might be concerned about the longevity of their keyboard. Logitech offer a 1-year warranty, although under EU law that should come on the 3 years, so do bear that in mind. Now, moving on to from the design, let me go straight into LEDs. Now, the LEDs are pretty cool. You got 2 buttons. One button controls every single key apart from these WASD and the arrows, and the other one obviously controls the other ones. But I would have liked if there was more unison between them. So if I clicked one, it would do both, because I don't really care about the WASD showing or not. I just like them being all the same color. Cool thing is you got different one. I think 100%, 75, 50, 25, and off. So that's the different light settings. I usually keep it at 75. 100% is just a bit too bright. I mean, it looks brilliant. Don't get me wrong. It looks freaking lovely, but when it comes to typing, it's just a bit too much in your face. So I just tend to leave it 75 because it's just got that edge between nice little illuminated keyboard and not too in your face lighting. So that's quite nice. Now, in terms of the features, so you've got the programmable keys over here. You've got 6 of them over here. I'll get onto the software side in a little bit. You've got 3 profiles you can save, and you've got a macro record button, and you've got a game button, which basically disables, say, the Windows key when you're gaming. Over here, you've got a play, play, pause, stop, previous and next button, and you've got a volume key, which is basically a scrollable wheel which controls your Windows volume, and you've got a mute key. Over here you've got some buttons. Obviously, if I hit the game mode, it's going to come on. The num lock button over here, the caps lock button over there, and the scroll lock button over there. So you've got those lighting illuminations right there, so that's pretty cool. These don't adjust with your lighting profiles, so if I go, as you can see, nothing's changed. So I should mention that. That always stays on, which is fine, and that's how it should be. Apart from that, there is a little bit of one more thing I should have mentioned about design is the actual underneath of the keyboard. You've got cable management, so you can route things from your keyboard and put them neatly away. So for example, if you have something like a mouse coming all the way from the front to the back, there you go. So apart from that, that's that. Now, in terms of the actual keys themselves and the feel of it, the mechanical keyboard works in a different way of a membrane keyboard. I should probably type, so let me just open up Word. I did demonstrate this in my unboxing, but let me just make you listen to this. And now let's just go down to the mechanical one. Now there's a little bit of a different noise, so you might be able to hear it. I quite like the little noise of the Browns make over the membrane, almost saying like the membrane feels sluggish when it comes to the noise and the feel of it. Furthermore, on the feel, this is quite important. When in terms of typing, now I'm going to do some gestures. I'm going to tap it and tap away. You'll probably be able to hear a kind of spring-ish noise. Now try and pay close attention and let me try and see if the camera can pick it up. Now, I'm pretty sure you weren't able to hear that, but basically, it's almost listening to a spring go bing, 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 almost like that noise. That's emphasized. But when you're typing really fast, you can hear that. I should mention that when you're typing, in terms of the feel again, it's almost like if this is the key and I'm pressing and I'm going really fast, it feels like the key's doing this. Does that make sense? So this is my finger, this is the key, huge key. So I'm doing this. I'm not shaking, I mean literally that's how it feels to my fingers. It's because it's my first mechanical keyboard, that's how it feels. So it is a weird-ish feeling, but you get used to it very quickly. It almost felt like you have electricity on the edge of on your fingers. In terms of like the feeling you can get, it's almost like almost if you do this to your fingers when you're typing. It feels really weird, but you get used to it, and trust me, in terms of the actual feel of it, God, I mean, although I thought it was kind of exaggerated when they say if you go mechanical, you'll probably never go back. I've got to agree that when this was out on RMA, and I had been using that for maybe 2 or 3 days, and I went back to this, straight away I could feel the sluggishness of the keys and the softness of the keys. They feel really mushy, as some people say. Now you really have to love typing to notice this. It's not like saying like an audiophile you have to have a good ear. No. It's just the more you type, the more you'll notice these things. And even my mum went on it and she was like, oh my god, it's like being on a typewriter. She was like, that's how it worked in the old days. And I was like, in theory, yes, that's in principle, that's what it means. So it's quite interesting. The feel of the keyboard is quite interesting, and I've got to say, very interesting experience and a very enjoyable experience. Now, in terms of the mechanical keyboard, as each one has a switch under them, the thing I've realized is the goddamn accuracy of this keyboard is insane. Now the accuracy, by that I mean when, for example, if I'm doing a couple of combination keys, and obviously it's got N key rollover, it's just so accurate. Everything I do, it's picking up straight away and putting it on screen. So if I make a mistake on my old board, it might have not picked it up, but if I make a mistake here, it will pick it up. But that said, I tend to be quite an accurate typer, and therefore I feel that I've become more accurate in terms of typing with this keyboard over my old keyboard. Now, is that worth £150? Very debatable, but are my earphones worth £400, yet they're the best in-ear earphones I've ever heard? That, again, is debatable. So it depends. In terms of your budget, in terms of how much you value typing. So in the same way, I like to say, how much do you value your music in terms of how much will you spend on it? My computer, my actual PC, is worth £1,400 in terms of the internal components and everything. You know, I built this from the ground up. But the amount of spend on peripherals, say that was 20 quid, that was another 25 quid, say the sound system was 230 quid, the monitor was 113 quid, the keyboard was 150 quid. So these all add up, but they all contribute to my experience on being on a PC. It's almost like buying an antivirus system for your PC, because your internet experience will be better when you use it. So it all adds up. Now, finally, before I get to the conclusion, because I know it's getting quite long as a video, I should go into the software. Now, the software is pretty simple to use and pretty easy. You get this software and basically you click on the G keys and you can customize it. Now, what I want to allude to over here is actually going into folders. Now, this is quite cool because you can actually specify a folder to go into. As you can see, I've got E, Chris, Rest, pics, and as you can see, rest is obviously spelt wrong because I spell it in the French spelling, rest, I think. So that's how you get it. So now to get to this, say for example I click that, you want to copy the address as a text, and when you paste it, Control V, you can see down here, that's the address. Now to get a folder, that's what you have to do. So in order for it to drag a folder, you need to do that. And therefore when I click G3, it will open my pictures folder. So there you go. One thing I haven't quite worked out yet is, for example, shortcuts. Now you can see Chrome has got a shortcut, right? So if I hit G1, it opens G1. But if I open it again, it opens Chrome again. By that I mean, if you look at my thing down there, apart from the chimp which is smiling, it opens an extra one. So if I hit G1 again, it's opened loads of Chrome browsers. Now that is fine, but when it comes to things like Outlook, now if I open Outlook, it will open Outlook again and again and again and again. Whereas my old keyboard, the K350, when I hit the Outlook button, it opened my previous application of Outlook. Now there could be some sort of setting I'm missing over here, but I've looked around and I couldn't quite find the answer and couldn't quite understand how it's done or how it can be done. So that is my only major complaint about the software. Apart from that, it's pretty good. You can set it to your profiles. It picks up your games. So for example, it picked up Battlefield 3 and Magicka that I've got on Steam, and it can go towards their profiles. So overall, the software is quite nice, very, very simple software, but I would have liked a little bit more attention to detail when it comes to these things. In terms of the key binding, you can bind quite a lot of stuff, like keystrokes, multiple keys, text blocks, mouse functions even, media functions, hotkeys, like close a window, zoom in, zoom out, shortcut, which I just quickly explained, function keys. You can see it says email there, but again, it doesn't open it as it should do. Calculator, my computer, media player and whatnot, and Ventrilo, it can do those. So it's got a nice extensive list, but I think the folder option and like the opening of Outlook option should be maybe looked into a little bit more. Now, as an overall, in terms of conclusion of this keyboard, is it worth £150? Well, I don't know. I think it's worth £100, that's for sure. £150 is kind of stretching its limits, simply because of the certain things I mentioned. That said, it is the only keyboard out there in the market at the moment which fits all the description that I wanted. So, at a review point at £150, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. A 4 out of 5 star rating, simply because of the certain things I mentioned. For example, the design, the actual price of it, the software things, those little things there, which were slight niggles, but for me, when you're spending so much money, you'll kind of expect them to be included. For example, those extra keys. I mean, how much would it cost Logitech to give you extra 6 set of keys, for example? So things like that, I have to give this keyboard an 8 out of 10. So it's definitely a recommended keyboard and definitely a keyboard I'd recommend, but it is a very expensive keyboard. There's no denying that. £150 is a very expensive set of it's a very expensive set of a keyboard to buy. I can't even get my words out. It's so expensive I can't even get my words out. No, I'm joking. It is an expensive keyboard, so you have to bear that in mind when buying this. It's definitely one of the big factors when it comes to buying a product. Price is always there, and therefore when I do my reviews, I always take price into consideration, and price is a huge factor in terms of the overall rating this keyboard would get. For example, if I could grab this for £70, say in the US, with a UK keyboard layout, it would get a 10 out of 10 straight away without anything, even probably 12 out of 10 if that even makes sense. simply because of its price. You know, that's half the price that I paid, and that's a huge amount. It's almost like, say, buying a car for £100,000. Would you review that car at £100,000 if it cost £50,000, and how would your review change in based on that? And I'm pretty sure it would change quite considerably, simply because of what you expect to get for that amount of money. So I hope this video has shown you pretty much all the features and all the things that these things can offer. I am pretty sure I've missed out quite a lot of stuff, but that said, I'm quite confident in terms of the use I've had that I would recommend this keyboard, but you have to have that budget. And if you don't, well, there's other alternatives out there. As I said, the Q-Pad, the Corsair, there's the Ducky keyboards. God, there's so many mechanical keyboards out there that there's too many to list, but this is the only one which basically fit my description and the description I wanted in terms of having a keyboard. Right guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it's been a very long 25+ minute video, but I thought long video, you know, not compensating for anything, so definitely trying to show you everything it's got to offer. Alright guys, please do remember to rate, comment and subscribe, and let me know your opinions of this review. I greatly appreciate it in the comments. Constructive feedback is always appreciated. Alright guys, totally dubbed out. Bye bye.